guys, and welcome to another episode of the Sassy Talks. Today, we're going to be talking about something that we've never got in a lot of depth about. I'm talking about marketing operations, and I don't think I would have a better person to, have a discussion around marketing operations than Anand, who currently heads as the associate director, in fact, for CleverTap of marketing operations, and he has almost 10 plus years experience. He's worked in companies like Zoho, Freshworks, Sprinkler, Zaddle. I think the portfolio where you've worked, Anand, is something that everybody aspires today, right? And we want to utilize your experience, your expertise in marketing operations to, explore what it is all about and where is the gap in the market with respect to marketing operations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Yes, I've been fortunate enough to work in all these companies that you've
Right.
mentioned, and each came with a unique set of experiences, unique set of problems, and unique learning. So every step of the way, I've tried to solve different problems, and here I am now, all going good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining in. So I want to dive in straight away because we know we want to discuss about marketing operations and the kind of distribution of the podcast that I have. It also includes many freshers in the market, right? So I want to start off right at the basic level. Can you define what marketing operations is and how is it important for SaaS companies specifically? How does it actually add value?
Definitely, definitely. And especially in SaaS, there's a formula called 3P, right? People,
Yeah.
process, and products. It can be not more true in any other department. Right? So, marketing operations is essentially working with people, enabling all your marketers, all your sales folks to work more on data, understand
Yeah.
what's working, what's not working, what's the right insight to make use of. For example, which marketing campaigns are working well in terms of giving you the right leads.
Yeah.
What marketing activity is doing the right engagement with the target audience that you are trying to define. How is it looking in the funnel? Is it converting bottom of the funnel, or is it just going and getting stuck? Or all the paid ads helping your team work better? So that's on the process and the people side of things. So there's
Yeah.
also the product side of things, which holds the biggest weightage when it comes to marketing operations. So marketing operations per se is one of the biggest SaaS segments in any product roadmap. So the third P, which is product, and when it comes to product, marketing operations segment has the biggest responsibility out there because we have to
Right.
navigate through at least 10,000 to 20,000 products out
Yeah.
there in the market for the last 10, 20 years, right? So there are also newcomers which are a bit more advanced with certain features. There are old stalwarts who are pretty well defined in terms of solving lots of problems.
Yeah.
Your marketing automation platforms like HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Marketo, all these staple names are already there. You have to ensure that all of these platforms integrate with each other,
Yeah.
talk to each other in a much more cohesive manner. So all the data gets transferred, and your data is in sync with all the different endpoint solutions out there, right? So
Got it.
the consumer, who's either your salesperson or your marketing person, understands, hey, these are my marketing funnel insights coupled with this website analytics, coupled with funnel performance, coupled
Right.
with how our pipeline converts, right? So all these cohesive information has to be stitched together to give a story which can be consumable for the endpoint person who can make use of it and maybe reach out to your customer on the right time, offer them
Right.
certain ebooks or certain value and something, right? So all these have to be managed by a marketing operations person or a
Right.
team. Again, it takes a team. That's one
Yeah.
of the myths which we'll talk a bit later about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this team has to help the teams build a story which can be then put out there in the market and
Right.
enable the teams to do more, perform more, convert better and faster.
Understood. Perfect. That's very well put. I think it's a very proper definition of what exactly is involved in the ecosystem of marketing operations, right? So let's break it down. One of the things that I want to understand from you is because you also, while defining what marketing operations is or what the team does, you did mention about, integrating all the stacks together so that they talk to each other, so that your data points are in one place and are mapped. The entire journey is mapped for the consumer, which could be your marketing folks or your sales folks, right? So that they can make better
Right.
decisions, right? So how does it matter for early stage companies to actually focus on this?
It definitely does. I've actually helped a few startups kind of take a few products to begin with. So
Yeah,
there are different type of startups or early stage, right? Some who go all in on different platforms, sign up for almost everything, and then kind of struggle with executing all those platforms or utilizing
yeah,
the platform. There are other types which don't want to use any platform. They want to go through Excel sheets, go through basic
yeah,
stuff, just till
yeah,
they get the customers coming in. You need a balanced mix of it. You need to understand your go-to market strategy. Your so who's your target account? Where are they positioned? Are they more are they going to consume your data on website,
yeah,
or are they going to consume your data on your field events or much more physical events or paid? Right? So based on each of these insights and how you are going to communicate to them, you have to choose your tech stack. Marketing automation platform, something like HubSpot,
yeah,
your Marketo, your Salesforce Marketing Cloud. If you're B2C, CleverTap, all those different platforms are much more of a staple name in the house, right? And uh, they give you the basic criteria or the basic ability to reach out to your prospects or customers, try to share more information about you, and you kind of keep them in the loop, keep them engaged, keep them understanding about the value that the product offers, right?
mm,
So those are pretty much basic. Like those are,
yeah,
I think, marketing automation platforms is something that is as important as a CRM node, because
yeah,
the amount of data that you consume, the amount of money that you spend on paid ads, you have to ensure that those insights are stored in a warehouse or a database that makes it consumable for you and kind of help you strategize in different marketing plans based on these things. So those are
right.
basic stuffs to begin with. But if you're someone who has a pretty complex go-to-market, where you
Mm-hmm.
have a full circle of engagement that you want to engage with your audience, for example, you're selling another CRM tool, right? So your customers might be in all the different fields, but if you want to engage with them, you still have to send out emails to them. You
Yeah,
would be targeting them on LinkedIn. You would be waiting for them to visit your website, read through around, fill up a form, things like that.
that's right.
You need to ensure that this engagement circle is also measured. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
there are the analytics platforms like there's Amplitude, there's Factor, there's Six, there are ABM platforms also that kind of gives you a full wraparound of which accounts are actually engaging with you, right? That
Yes,
gives you more insight in terms of whether your ad campaigns are actually targeted towards the right audience, and your emails are also going to those same audiences to ensure that that intent is slowly nurtured and they become more engaging. And
right.
some might need it at a startup stage, some might not. Depends on your database size and how ready you are as a company and with the team to use those insights to go to the market.
Right, right. Understood. So I think all of this also applies to any mid-market or a growing up company as well, right? This becomes very important for them. In your experience, because I'm sure, you've worked with big companies, but at a stage where they probably might be at their early stages or in the growing stages of their journey itself, right? What are the most pressing issues or challenges that in terms the entire GTM team, the ecosystem faces with which can be actually solved through a better marketing operation setup?
Right. It's with respect to mid-market companies, it always boils down to how collaborative you are with the different teams in getting
Right,
these insights out and ensuring that they utilize and are consuming these insights for their marketing activities or sales activities. Because
right,
when it comes to mid-market, data is plenty, right?
right.
You'll have so much insights coming from so many different areas, and if you have a PLG motion in play, that's a
Yeah,
total different ball game, and you need to have a separate marketing strategy altogether for it. So you might
true.
be going outbound, you might be going inbound, you might also be going product led. So all these different segments have their own personalized approach, and
Hmm.
based on the value factor that your particular audience from a particular segment or an industry might be looking after, you need to personalize the entire funnel, right? Each because all of them might not convert, and that's again a bit more common nowadays. All your audiences will not convert to you or convert for you unless their demand is met. So the entire demand gen motion comes into picture where you understand this industry has this value prop that they are looking for, and this is what we offer. This is our core strength. This is where our competitors lack. So let's run these campaigns. So that's where marketing operation comes again,
Yeah.
because most of these data will be there in your marketing automation platform or your CRM at some point,
Yeah.
or your teams might be collecting it at a customer success level. So you have to ensure that all these data points are weighted or given weightage so that you know which data point has more relevance to the particular type of audience that you're going to focus on, and ensure that there's an email strategy that's going to make use of these data, right? So build different segments from a particular
Yeah.
industry. Whoever's on top of the funnel, build a different segment for it. Put them into a separate list, monitor that list. Let's see how that list is nurtured and how that list is engaging with the rest of your content, right? And
Right.
based on that engagement, you can also understand whether that account's intent is moving towards the positive direction or if they're not interested at the moment. At some level, you can also increase the predictability of whether those accounts will convert to you in the next 6 months or it will take a year to kind of nurture them and kind of bring them on board.
Right.
So taking the insights that you already have, putting them into segments, sending them or publishing them into the market, and observing the engagement from the market, and understanding how it affects your entire pipeline. And using these again, this is another loop where using these information to feedback again, prioritize segments. So, hey, this segment is more of a lower hanging fruit. Let's focus on it. This segment needs more nurture. Let's put them into these nurture buckets. Let's send them more
Yeah.
content. Let's route them to webinar registrations. Let's invite them to events. Let's see which part of the marketing channel they want to engage more with us on. Right.
Yeah.
So these type of strategies, you'll need the marketing operation team to help you with. Don't get me wrong. There are lots of companies that don't have marketing operations, but they still
Yeah.
do it. But
Yeah.
usually it comes as an afterthought, and that's where the problem is. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put budget, they plan everything, and then they go back and look at insights, which
Right.
post the event, that's money burnt and no result gained, right?
Exactly.
Whereas now you can optimize the money where you're going to put it. Okay, if these enterprise companies are not at all interested in PPC, now you have to get a hold of them through some other channel, right? What are the other
Yeah.
channels? Let's invite them through LinkedIn ads. Let's invite them to an event. Let's do webinar. Let's do coffee sessions. So you need to have that insight ready before you take the call on what type of an event or what type of a channel you need to put that money in. So
Agreed.
that becomes a bit more of a positive planning towards how you spend your money and how
Yeah.
you can ensure that the pipeline flows more predictable and more in a controllable manner,
Exactly.
right? Rather than just spraying and praying, which this year is not going
Absolutely.
to work. Every company is kind of
Absolutely.
pivoting to the organic motion, which I think all of
Yeah.
us have been shouting at the companies for so many years, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's the case today, especially.
I completely agree. I think as a business, we also run a business, though it's not a SaaS business, it's a service business. But end of the day, predictability is the key, right? The sooner you are able to, predict what will happen with what kind of efforts and where, I think that really takes your growth curve exponentially high, right?
Exactly.
So what you're talking about is that this operation setup, the marketing operation setup, actually has to be done before any effort goes out, right? So that
Correct.
whatever you do, you are able to track that and gain insights from it, and then simply put, take better decisions, right? What should
Correct.
be done next, right? So it's what you mentioned in the last couple of minutes sounds very, very pressing and important, right? And you raised a point that people realize it later. Sometimes it becomes too late. Why is that happening? Because this is something I have also seen. We have also worked with a lot of early stage companies that or growing companies, right? Scale up companies, right? Why is marketing operations not looked at in a manner that this is one of the very strong pillars that you need to have before you start? Why is
That
that? Like, have you figured it out?
that was actually a pressing question that has been giving me lots of anxiety in so many years, right? So why is I've asked this question again and again to myself.
Yeah.
Why isn't all these companies who are essentially SaaS, who are internet-based companies, who are now
Right.
like spending millions of dollars all over the internet, not concerned about their data?
Exactly.
At
And
some
it all
level, it
started
comes.
with data, right? It all
Yes,
started with data. Like, where did we
exactly.
get lost?
Exactly. So the very presence of all these companies started with data on, hey, there's a problem in this segment, they need a particular solution, and you
Right.
need to build a solution. So
Right.
that itself, so it all initiated from a perceived problem. So a perceived problem and a perceived strategy which work. And with respect to marketing, everything is 50-50. Customer is
Yeah.
the king, and the prospect has to make the decision on whether he wants to focus on that value or not, even though the
Yeah.
value is perfectly accurate for them, right? At the end of the day, that's why we have so many channels, right?
Yeah.
We need to engage with them. We need to convince them on so many channels. So
Yeah.
in order to convince them, we need the right data to kind of put in front of them, right?
Yeah.
Like, not every company is a brand out of the gate, right? So
Yeah.
in order for you to establish as a brand, you have your brand value, you need to have the product value, you need to have your customer experience value. There are so many core values, and you have to talk about all of it, right? You
Yeah.
have to ensure your customers find the value or the solution for the problem that they're looking for. They need
Hmm.
to ensure that your customer success and the experience that you offer is at market standard, or if not
Yeah.
better, right? And they need to know that you also have capabilities to integrate with all their other tech stacks. So
Right.
you can give them a proper ecosystem of data which they can utilize.
Yeah.
So what essentially most of the products in the market when they're selling, they're usually I'll talk to my sales team. They say you're kind of a marketing operation person because you're selling the value of the product, which what we do to you, right? We try to
Yeah.
sell the data that we've already accumulated. We sell it to you, so you utilize it. So it has to be perceived in a way where you have to empathize in terms of okay, so I'm doing sales. I talk about few metrics. I look at few problems, and then my core area is to go close the deal, right? So
Yeah.
you need to convince your salesperson to, hey, yes, you want to close this deal, but don't spend your time on these accounts. They might not be converting to you. They might be engaging with you, but they already have a contract which might end
Yes.
at within the competitor, which might go for another year. So in that time, put them into a nurture bucket, let our marketing team send them content, let them engage them. When they're ready, let them come to us, right?
Yeah.
Whereas focus on these accounts, which are more bottom of the funnel, they're in a consideration phase, and it's easier to kind of pull them into a decision phase. So they kind of quickly take a call and kind of become the
Right.
customer you can onboard, right? So we need to kind of bring that shift from the perceived value from the data
Right.
to actual realistic value. So there are when companies start, they know like, hey, this is the problem. These are the only few points that I'm going to talk. I know I can get customers, and at some point you can, like 0 to 1, you can kind of
Yeah.
push value and kind of get it. But when you want to scale from 1 to 10, that's where you need to offer more than just solution. Right? You need to have all
Yes.
the other values that I just spoke about. So
Yeah.
you need to kind of position yourself and prioritize the accounts or prioritize the type of company that you want to go after based on these insights. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting or kind of throwing your sales team at a particular segment, which will
Yeah.
drain their energy, whereas their energy can be much better focused on particular
Absolutely.
companies that will give them immediate results. So that will boost their targets and kind of them focusing on other accounts. So
Right.
the targets are met. Now they have to just nurture the rest of the account for the next one. Right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's the momentum shift that companies have to adopt to. Some are doing it already,
Yeah.
some are just realizing it, but some need to realize it.
Yeah. Well said. So you talked about a couple of use cases where you talked about sales getting involved and helping sales understand which accounts to target, and give them a sense of, so that they can improve their productivity and get better results quickly, right? So is there a differentiation here? Is this sales operations, or sales operations is entirely different? This still lies under marketing operations. How do you differentiate between those two?
It's sales operations is different, but usually it's more of a compatible, right? So we work on unison. We sales operations just ensures they enable the salesperson.
Right.
Marketing operation ensures the marketing team plus ensures the sales team with the marketing data, right? Sales operations
Right.
kind of ensures the speed to lead is maintained, speed to conversion is maintained, the
Right.
pipeline flow is maintained, and the other operations like invoicing, things like that, right? Whereas
Right.
marketing, we need to ensure that the products are utilized, the data are utilized, there's a
Right.
cohesive flow in terms of segments and targeting, there's
Right.
a proper funnel vision in terms of what's working and what's not working. And every
Right.
leads are, so we also need to work with sales ops at times to understand, hey, like some of these segments are not managed properly. Is there a better way where we can help them design a different segment or a different sequence for them to kind of focus on. Let's ensure that
Right.
they capture these insights. Let's make it mandatory. Let's kind of shift different steps. So some things are streamlined, right? And again, it
Got it.
differs from industry to industry, from company to
Absolutely.
company.
Yeah.
It's very flexible at times.
Right. So there is a differentiation, but there is also collaboration that is happening.
A lot,
Uh,
yes.
so, and then there is another thing, like specifically, I think in the last 5, 7 years, we've been starting hearing is RevOps, right? Revenue
Oh yes.
operations. Yeah. So where does this come in? Is it like on top of this, or how do you define it?
So this is where Indian market is pretty tricky, right? So
Yeah.
I think all of us know. So you might get a project to do SEM, but you'll also do SEO, right?
Yeah.
And it will be pushed under the rug. They won't call it upfront. They will address it upfront. Right?
Right.
So that's how RevOps also came into the picture. So, for example, I usually joke about this with my folks in the digital marketing, right? So you are asked to do SEM, but sometimes you need to do performance marketing too, right? So that's how I see RevOps.
Right.
So you just ensure all of your activities are connecting back to the revenue, right?
Revenue.
Not
Right.
just it doesn't stop till lead creation, right? How
Right.
long is the lead there on the pipe before it becomes an actual customer, right? And
Right.
are you ensure that they stay as customer for the LTV period that we've already fixed, right? And if they are churning, like how to stop that churn, how to address that churn much early in the customer lifetime, right?
Right.
So
Right.
answering those questions and also fine tuning every process is a bit more of a RevOps than. RevOps is actually a bit holistic, but
Mm-hmm.
a bit more on the surface layer, right?
Yeah.
So they don't go into the exact data point, exact segment, but they kind of try to optimize the channels and their performances for particular KPIs and particular metrics. So,
Right.
for example, a lead gets captured, it gets assigned, and it gets engaged. So, this feed to lead process, how long
Mm.
is it today? What are the other frictionless points that we can remove to ensure that this process is improved, right? So,
Mm.
they essentially project manage it, and we also kind of work on the break down the different elements that go into it and
Mm.
ensure that the process is optimized by a minute or two or an hour, right? Depends on what's
Right.
there, right? And that
Uh,
goes for every step of the way till the lead
yeah.
becomes a customer or before they even join. So that's how
Understood.
RevOps is working. And the one thing that I need to ask to Indian startup is MarkOps, SalesOps, and RevOps are three separate functions. And if you need to give them the actual scope or the right scope for them to perform for the right solution, right? If you
Right.
try to bucket it onto the same team, it will not help you get a much more sustainable process or a sustainable solution, right? You'll get
Agreed.
fixes here and there, but it will not get you to the right, the utopian state of processes and then data flow that you're expecting. So you need
Right.
to manage it step by step. You can do it as a project, right? You don't have to invest your money on setting up a RevOps team. Like, go work with an agency. Just ask them to come in, like work for a couple of quarters, optimize a process
Agreed.
for the 6 months, right? That's all
Agreed.
you need. Rather, if you just put it on top of your marketing ops or on top of your sales ops person, so they already have certain responsibilities that they have to
Right.
fix, right?
Right.
And on top of it, you give them a RevOps project, and they now have to work in parallel, and most of it will cause more friction, and
Yes.
it will kind of disrupt the peace and the engagement that the teams have been already been established and going on.
Right.
So it's always safe to kind of compartmentalize all these different functions and ensure they
Absolutely.
have their own scope and they have their own processes. So
Agreed.
that will increase the efficiency of each of the processes.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I think that is a fair thing to call out, Anand. This is something that we've also observed. As an agency, we don't really go into when we're talking to a client, we don't really go deep into helping them understand, these are actually different things because at the end we have all three capabilities to do, right? But I do observe that there is a lack of understanding or probably awareness that this should be different scopes, right? Especially in the Indian ecosystem. And I wouldn't say that, outside in the US ecosystem also that they are well aware of all of these things. I don't think that that is also the case.
Yeah,
I think overall in the SaaS ecosystem, this is something that, is maturing day by day, definitely. But yeah, something really important, and I think urgent, and should be on the top priority for companies to look at. So from here, I think it's fair enough to talk about, the different myths that exist when we talk about marketing operations. What are the top three myths that probably you have, because you've worked so much in marketing operations? I think it'll be top of your mind, like when you hear those thoughts, and you don't understand whether to laugh or cry, right? So what
Usually the
what are those
latter.
myths?
So usually, I think I've spoken on a couple of other sessions like this as well. So
Yeah,
usually, MarkOps is considered like an email marketing team, a
yeah,
web dev slash web CMS management team, or lead assignment team, or lead routing team.
yeah,
That's like you're shooting yourself on your own foot, right? So
yeah,
you can actually enable your MarkOps team to be much more of a partner to your marketing function,
yeah.
much more of
Hmm.
a partner to your sales function, to give them the insights. For example, I know for a fact, like on so many companies that I've worked on, right? So uh, sales team kind of have their own bubble that we're working on, right? And
Hmm.
it is a much more stressful job, and we all agree that's front facing. You have to make
Agreed.
calls, you have to meet your targets, you have to meet it on
Yeah,
deadline, you have to close deals. There's so many things that they have to check before the quarter ends, right?
agreed.
And what they will need to kind of ensure that, again, they don't spend time unnecessarily on accounts or talking to prospects is
Yeah,
insights from your tech. Right? uh, what are the companies that are already engaging to
yeah,
start with, right? What are the different uh, content that they've consumed already, right? Have they downloaded your ebook? Have they visited your booth or at an event? Is there some sort of an engagement that is already happening? And there might be multiple touch points from just one
yeah,
company on different channels, right? You have
yeah,
to you have to ensure that you consume all these information together, and when you talk to someone, you take all these insights with you. So
yeah,
like you can go ahead and talk to someone, say like, hey, we know that your company attended an event. We also saw that there's lots of traction from your company in terms of reading your ebooks. We are also solving for this problem and this value point. So if you
right.
want to talk to us, let us know. We'll give you a free demo of our platform. We can
Right.
hear what you see. I've had such engagements in the past, right? There are
Hmm.
companies that come to me saying, hey, there are so much engagements. The thing that I've noticed is usually they are from the West, right? I get
Yeah,
calls like middle of the night, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., saying, hey, like, can I quickly jump on a call with you? Hey, come on, just send me the link. I'll read through and then I'll get back. But usually that's what they know, that I've been reading through these things, right? There's been
yeah,
engagement from these media channels, and it's that's the space that makes it easier, right? Because I'm searching for some solution, they're calling from that solution. It makes me easier, makes the process easier for me to scout for different problems.
agreed.
So that's a general myth, where people think we're just about email, just about CMS. No, we
Yeah,
can give you all those insights. We've all most likely, if you have a marketing team, they would have already integrated all those information into your database. You just have to. So on 5 days in a week, just spend one day working with your marketing operation person for
right.
your channel, right? For example, if you're working on India for this mid market, let's just
Yeah,
sit with them and understand these are the mid market accounts, these are the mid
yeah,
market contacts in the system. So I'm going to do an outbound to this. Parallelly, can I have the marketing team focus some ads towards these?
right.
So there's again the multi-touch approach
Exactly.
that gets met, right?
Right.
So that's one,
Yeah.
right? And
Before we move on,
and
I would actually want to say that before, when I started in the industry, when I first heard of marketing operations, before I went ahead and read about it and, started experiencing it, I was made to understand that marketing operations is nothing but nurturing campaigns. So I completely, yeah. So I thought, just the nurturing campaigns is what marketing operation people do. That's it.
That's right. That's right. Right. So that's the myth. So
Yeah.
even initially, when I came into ops, that's what I understood. Like, why am I only doing email? There's more insights.
Right.
There's digital operations. If all of these things kind of now, so operations was one. Now it's just segmented into different
Yeah.
different buckets. But there's digital operations, all your paid ad engagements, it's now on your website and it's now on your marketing automation platform, right?
Right.
You can consume that data. You know that our company has spent money on getting these leads into our
Exactly.
database. That's more priority because that's intent, right? They've
Yeah.
directly made the search and come to our website. Most of these things the teams already do, right? They tag them as high value MQLs and then assign them to respective
Yeah.
SDRs or AEs, and they kind of go talk to them. So those engagements are also part of marketing. Attribution, tagging, ensure that the lead that came in is attributed to the right team. There's first touch, last touch, multi-touch. There's so many logics that are utilized nowadays. So it again based it again attribution is a painful topic, but that's the marketing operation problem, right? Usually attribution is considered towards the end of the quarter in terms of who do I get. So should I split more money to the same team or should I bucket the money to a different team? Right? That's the simple way to put it. So that's another thing that's pushed under the rug. People don't understand that marketing operation also has a major part in doing all of these things.
Right.
There's the honestly there's more. There's a lot of scope to explore. For example, ABM. Nowadays, I see most of the companies hiring agencies to run ABM.
Yeah.
Usually, your data, if your agencies, there's an agency coming in to do ABM, that means your data, this data already in your system. And if you have MarkOps, they can give you the accounts that you need to put marketing campaigns out, right?
Yeah.
So you can do it on your own. But again, if you don't have the bandwidth to do it, you can still kind of get in some other ABM agencies or consultants to kind of help you with it. But you have to first understand whether you have that data or not.
Exactly.
And that again depends on whether that marketing operation function is there or not. If they're there, by default, all these data would be segmented and accumulated. You just have to segment it and prioritize it and utilize for your specific accounts that you want to focus on.
Right. So I'm so sorry. You were talking about what is the other myth that you've heard?
Oh yeah, right. So I think that's also something we spoke about earlier. Whereas sales ops, MarkOps, RevOps, what are their responsibilities? And aren't you guys the same thing, right? Can't sales ops do MarkOps? Can't MarkOps do sales ops or RevOps? See, ultimately, we're project managers who are managing a process plus product and ensure, as I said, the 3P, right? So we're putting it in front of people so they consume it. By core, our responsibilities are somewhat similar, but what do we focus on and give attention to? Sales ops ensure sales people's success and efficiency, and kind of ensure that the transition from a lead coming in to a close deal and everyone meeting their fight, that's what their primary focus is. So you need a constant team that should sit there and help the sales team to win, and win, right? Whereas MarkOps, marketing campaigns, is paid campaigns working well? Is organic traffic growing? And are we kind of seeing any cannibalism between these two channels? Are we running nurture campaigns for the leads that are not being handled by sales? So again, sales has the sales sequences as well. Sometimes sales ops manage it, sometimes MarkOps manage it. It depends on the resources we have, right? So both of us can manage it, but again, the core nature is how is it helping the sales fight? How is it helping the marketing fight? Right? And from a RevOps perspective, they kind of ensure revenues met. Yes, you have a lead. Yes, the paid ad is working. Yes, the leads are coming into the sales fight. They are putting a deal. Is it closing? So they come to much bottom of the funnel, right? If you look at it, MarkOps sits on top of the funnel, like top mid. Sales ops sits in the mid of the funnel, like MQL and into SAL, MQL to deal. And then RevOps comes in bottom of the funnel, right? Opportunity to close one. So close one and retain, right? So that's kind of how all these sections sit. So if you are setting up a demand gen funnel and you have setting up a strategy for demand gen, you have to ensure that you have these three segments or functions to help you at these three layers. Otherwise, you have much more effort, right? You might not get the result in the same time that you're predicting. You would ultimately end up putting so much effort. You would end up breaking your head in terms of running campaigns, sending out webinars. Should I track this? Should I track that? What sort of an experience should I have on our website? What metrics should I track? What metrics should I not track? Is attribution going to be a problem later on? All these things will be a problem. Will be a big problem, right? Because all in your QBRs or your reviews, will be given all this information.
Exactly. Yeah. Amazing. All right, Anand, thank you so much. I think it's been a lovely session about marketing operations. There is surely a lot that I have learned. I'm not the best go-to guy for marketing operations, so it was a really like a learning experience for me as well. And I'm sure anybody who goes to the podcast or the videos that we make out of it, is going to end up learning a lot. And you've already called out the startups and what you probably request them to focus on. You've already mentioned that. So thank you so much, Anand, for taking out the time. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Yes, I hope it helps the audience here and anyone who stumbles upon the video. And
Yeah,
as I said, right, all of us learn, and it's a continuous learning. Companies learn,
absolutely.
teams learn, processes has to be learned and updated. So I'm just looking to update myself and ensure that anyone who's looking at this kind of understands or kind of now has a slight better understanding of all these different
Absolutely.
functions and maybe use
Absolutely.
it for their own good. Right? That's all I want. And
Absolutely.
let's hope
Absolutely.
our market gets much more mature as we
Yeah,
go.
absolutely. I think it benefits all of us as the market, the ecosystem matures. So yeah, whatever it takes. Thank you so much, Anand, once again. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again, Sean. Thank you for the opportunity.